insight is something is making the planet spin on its axis. Something is making the planet revolve around the sun. Something is making the sun move towards the Virgo cluster ultimately with the rest of our galaxy. And that something is pushing that stuff. There's an energy pushing the Earth to rotate. There's an energy pushing the Earth to revolve. There's an energy pushing the galaxy to spin. And now we have the science of dark matter, which is that the galaxy should be spinning faster at the center and slower on the outside, and it should be looking like a pot of soup that you stir up. Instead, the galaxy spins at the same speed all the way across, so that at the farthest edge of the galaxy, it's moving way, way faster than in the center, just like an old-fashioned phonograph record, where the fastest movement, if you actually measure the distance that's traveled, is on the outside. It all moves as a unit. The galaxy moves as a unit, and they say, well, there's got to be extra matter there, so we'll call it dark matter because we can't see it. Kozarev's idea would be, okay, something's making the galaxy move, something's pushing it, and that something is time. And the only reason why we have time is because this essence is pushing things around. So now that starts to make more sense. We start to see, okay, time is the stuff that moves things. Time is an energy that's making things move. Now check this out. This is where it gets really bizarre. Electromagnetic energy, as I said, is like water soaking its way through a sponge. But what if the sponge itself exists as an absolute? What if the universe itself is a solid on one level, like the sponge? What if I take my finger and I push against one edge of the sponge? What's going to happen on the other side? It's going to move simultaneously. You see that? That's where it gets really cool, because the universe is like a solid, and it doesn't take time for impulses to move through the sponge. The other side of the sponge moves exactly at the same time as the side that you push on, unlike electromagnetic energy and light photons, which have to soak their way through at the speed of light. So that's the whole new way of looking at it. You're pushing it around. So torsion fields push on the material of the universe, and when they make an impulse, when they make what he calls a wave of time, they propagate instantaneously. And he believes that this is how information travels through the cosmos, and that ultimately the universe is alive, and this is how thoughts travel. That's why the consciousness of our galaxy, for example, is instantaneous. Something happens on one side of the galaxy knows what's happening on the other side. Why? Because as this something happens over here, the whole galaxy is pushed. It's not on a light speed trajectory. You see, it's going boop, 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 and it's all moving at once. So that starts to make a lot more sense as to all this weird stuff that he's saying. What he did is to find out how these waves are moving through our reality, because they will disrupt the movement of a pendulum or a gyroscope. As I've been saying before, I'm not going to belabor you with that again. Please watch the previous episodes if you already haven't. One of the coolest things he would do is hang them from a wire and then vibrate the top of the wire. And they would become very sensitive to the slightest movements. That vibration makes them on a very sensitive level, so that if there's a wave in time, that wave, which is the energy of the universe essentially, as that ripple moves through, matter responds to it, and the pendulum or the gyroscope will aim right in the direction of the wave, because the wave is rippling along, and the ripple catches the detector and pushes it towards the detector. So that's what we're talking about here. That's the new science. You suck out all the air, put it under glass, it becomes still, and then when a torsion field is generated, it moves. So one of the things we use the most frequently, as I said, is a balance beam. This is not what it really looks like. You have a 10-gram weight over here and a 1-gram weight over there, as I said. He vibrates the top. As the waves come through, the jitters on this thing make it so that as there's the slightest change around it, as these waves move through our reality, they actually affect all the atoms. The atoms are actually being pushed on by this, and if you make them really sensitive, like a pendulum here, or the balance beam, or in this case the gyroscope, well, is hanging on this vibrating fine line, will actually move in accordance with that wave. So he was able to actually measure these very bizarre waves that actually change the flow of time. And another way to just look at it is that they are the waves of the cosmos, the waves in this invisible material that makes matter and energy. So he found you could bend or break a physical object, and that would create a wave. You could shoot an object with an air jet, and that would create a wave. These waves would travel right through brick walls. They could still be measured with his detectors. You could turn over an hourglass, and as the sand flows, it creates these ripples in time, these ripples through the ether. Light can be absorbed. That creates a wave. Friction can cause it, rubbing sandpaper against wood. And also burning. As you consume something, it releases energy, and that creates these ripples in the ether. You can heat up or cool down an object as well. That's another way that you can get these waves of time. And we also have phase transitions in substances. You can freeze something or boil something, and that will cause these waves to appear, very detectable. You can dissolve and mix substances together. And as plants die, they give off these waves. And that's where we start to get into the very interesting new territory here, which I've given you now more background so you can understand better what's going on. As plants die, they have this energy of the universe, this etheric energy stored inside them, and they release it upon dying. And that can be detected by his machines. And we have non-light radiation from astronomical objects, and based on how long it took me to explain more about the science of time, we may or may not get into that in this episode. We may start, and we may or may not get all the way through. We probably will. It depends on how I do this next thing. So here's the next really cool thing that we're going to talk about. The Temptation of Faust. This, of course, is a classic novel about a man who is met by the devil, in this case Mephistopheles, and is offered a temptation to trade his immortal soul, which the idea is, do you even believe that you have a soul? Do you even believe that you're giving anything up or not? In exchange for worldly riches and power. Now think about how a story like that would affect somebody who lived in a concentration camp. Think about over 10 years of living in a concentration camp with starvation, with forced labor, with torture, with people being killed around you, with people dying of starvation, where you could get killed just for stealing a bar of soap. Wouldn't it be interesting if there was a temptation like this offered to somebody in a concentration camp? If they had the opportunity to meet up with some supernatural force that promises them total relief from where they are, and in fact, instead of them getting by on drinking water and eating dirt, that they can have filet mignon steaks and asparagus tips and all kinds of really wonderful stuff, all the women that they want, they can live in a plush mansion, just in exchange for your eternal immortal soul. Now, Kozyrev really identified with this story, and at the peak point where Faust, the lead character, actually has the temptation and makes the decision to accept the temptation, this for Kozyrev was a very powerful event. In fact, we could say, pun intended, it was his pivotal moment. And the reason why is that as his mind was blown, and he's reading this and he's getting this big emotional surge, over there in the lab, as it was always running, was his balance beam, the torsion detector, under the glass, sitting there on the string. And right as he had this big emotional surge, like a ghost, something reached out and grabbed that solid matter of that balance beam and aimed it right towards him. His mind created a torsion field. The excitement of his consciousness created a burst of information that entered into the matrix of our universe as a ripple in this stuff that everything is made from, and it works the same way as friction or breaking something or burning something or boiling something or flipping over an hourglass. He could do it with his mind because he was actually measuring the information of a strong emotionally charged thought. That thought actually could move an object. So this is like a primordial form of telekinesis And if you could develop this more, then you could actually make things move. But this beam was able to move because it was just very, very subtle and sensitive. So that's fascinating. So now, as we go on in exploring the sources of torsion fields, because of what he did with the Faust thing, we can say sudden changes in human consciousness create torsion fields. And he then got very excited about this, and he wanted to see if it was a one-off, and it turns out that it wasn't. It turns out that there were multiple ways in which you could get people suddenly excited. You could scare them. You could surprise them. People could feel love. People could feel sudden sadness. And those sudden emotional, those sudden surges were giving off waves of energy. And I'm actually going to show you in later episodes how all of nature responds to these waves that Kozyrev discovered that we're creating. All of nature is having an electrical, measurable response when these waves are being made. And some of the Russians actually measure torsion fields using plants as a living system that actually will detect these waves the same way that these detectors do. And this is also one of the really crazy things that came out of his research. The actions of an observer, such as simply moving your head up and down in a given area. You just move your head up and down, and that alone excites the field and creates a ripple that can actually move through time and move through a solid brick wall and create a change in his torsion field detector. So the obvious conclusion here is that consciousness itself is a torsion field phenomenon, that we create and control time. We actually can create and control time. And one of the things that I talk about in the source field investigations is the book China's Super Psychics by Paul Dong. And in those impoverished areas where these Chinese children are growing up, some of them develop superpowers for the same reason that in the concentration camp, Kozyrev was able to get his superpowers going with this vision of the torsion fields. So here's what happens. Some of these kids, there's one example of a little girl where she could wave her hand over a bush of flower buds that haven't opened up yet, and she just goes like this, and the flower buds all pop open. And people from our own military-industrial complex, top oil executives from Chevron and Texaco and Sunoco, they go over there, and they're holding little flower buds in their hands, and she just opens them up. What is she doing? She's altering and speeding up the flow of time. She's making time run faster because we have that ability, you see. Another example of this is there's one girl who was able to have a whole auditorium full of people hold flower buds in their hands, and she just waves her hand like this and gets all these flowers to open. Mainstream U.S. media is never going to talk about this stuff. So the one that I like is the kid who was able to teleport an object from one room to another, and the object would actually fade out of visibility, it would become invisible, and then it would fade in over in the other room. And they wanted to see what was going on as this took place. So the Chinese scientists put a beeper, and you remember now, I've talked about this in a previous show, they put a beeper on that little thing that the kid dematerialized, and the beeper would start going slower as the object became less visible. Time would slow down. So you see, as the matter that makes that object is withdrawn, there's less of the energy of time flowing in that area because time is powered by matter. Matter attracts time. Time flows because matter is there, and matter is pulling in this energy of the universe to power itself. So as the matter starts to leave, time starts to slow down because it doesn't need to go there anymore. There's no matter there for the time to flow into, so time starts slowing down. So the beeper gets slower and slower and slower, and then when it starts rematerializing on the other side, the beeper starts going faster and faster and faster. Well, that's really fascinating because what it shows is that the presence of matter determines time. Time is variable. And consciousness, of course, can create this. That's Kozarev's most amazing discovery. So when we head into the next episode, we're going to put the finishing touches on all of this, and I'm going to show you that in addition to these balance beams that seem kind of strange, there are other ways that we can measure the flow of time as well in the laboratory that I haven't told you yet. There's secrets here that we can use, and we can build our own detectors, and in fact, many of Kozarev's discoveries have been replicated here in the West. It's just not very popularly known. And I'm going to talk again specifically now about the data that Kozarev came up with of looking at stars, because it turns out that the visible position of the star is the light that's coming to us, and that's a time machine. That light might have been traveling for millions of years. The real position of the star might be different, but when Kozarev measured the torsion fields coming off the star, it wasn't in the same position as the visible position, but he was able to calculate that the real position of the star in absolute time is where the signal was coming from. We'll actually see that time moves forwards and backwards, that time exists as an absolute, and the idea of linearity is only the flow of the speed of light. But time itself is absolute. It doesn't really move. The jiggles are only apparent. So this is going to get really interesting, and then we're going to launch off into biology and how the animal kingdom and all parts of nature are actually responding to these waves. All that and more coming up in future episodes of Wisdom Teachings with me, your host, David Wilcock, and I thank you for watching.
Wow. So you see, we are limitless beings. We are those diamonds. You know, with knowledge comes understanding, and when you understand something, you can have wisdom. And wisdom is the action part of something. When we understand we are limitless beings in all different kind of aspects of ourselves, then we can begin the action of being a limitless being. So, as you can see, this is a multidimensional call today. We're learning on multidimensional aspects of ourselves and this world we're coming out of and going into, whether you understand that yet or not. Your superconscious understands it, your higher self. So we're learning on all levels. So we are the water. We are that sponge. We are the torsion fields. And we are energy. What he all talked about. This was a foundation to build on what we're going to hear about the waves and the energies coming in. Exactly, he described exactly in science terms of how it is. The science of technology, we are the technology. Scientifically, how these waves are, and they're changing our consciousness and expanding it into that less dense energy from the dense energy that we've been living in for thousands of years, maybe millions. So that's just a taste of where we're going. You've heard those testimonies of the children and everything. And I want to put a plug in for Gaiam TV. You can get Gaiam TV on your internet. It's Gaiam TV, GAIMTV.com. You can pay $10 a month and watch not just Wisdom Teachings, but many, 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 many other shows in all different aspects and categories to expand your consciousness. So I really recommend that. And there's even movies that, just to relax, and it'll expand your consciousness. So now we're going to learn about the waves that are coming in. We've built the foundation. Whoops. And by the way, I just want to say the Julian Wells about the Palladian experience, that was blogged on the Diamonds blog on Tuesday, August 26th, 2014. And you could find it on the archives on the right-hand corner. It says archives, find the week that August 26th is included in. Click it, scroll down until you see that. So Lily, comments?
Sorry, I had to unmute. Well, it sort of plays back into what I was talking about earlier. Sometimes, in our worst times, we have the biggest revelations. So for Kostarev to be in that, concentration camp, all he had was his mind, for survival. And he, was able to plug into that and come to that realization, which is pretty deep. And for me, wow, it'd really be cool to do what that girl does by making the flowers bloom.
Absolutely. That's who you are. You're that diamond. And this was a gem. Absolutely.
I'd like to hear more of that.
That was a half-an-hour show. It's a half-an-hour show every Monday, and it comes up on a Tuesday. Yeah, Wisdom Teachings, David Wilcock. If you join Gaiam TV, you'll get to hear it every week. It very much it's just another realm to help you understand, like you listen to the Diamonds Call, and then you hear the scientific part of it, and it just helps you realize and have confidence that, yes, this is really true, because look at science is proving it,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he's going to have a series coming up with his intel guys from the government and all that, whistleblowers, where he's going to reveal things he has never revealed before. And the timing's right. That's coming up soon. Yeah, it's a beautiful show. Now I want to go into, just really skip really fast, the energy paper by James Fu. And you can find that link on the Diamonds blog, blogged August 27th. This is a free tool to increase your vibrations for the coming energies starting now and more so in September 2014. And James Fu, Antonio Hagen's going to be on the Diamonds Call. She knows more about this energy paper, too. She's doing actually an experiment with it, with rice. But this energy paper, if you go on that link and you click the first PDF file, you can print out, it's a square of numbers, and you can literally wear it on yourself. There's a 40-minute audio you listen to, and you can, increase your vibrations to the 528 hertz frequency that we're listening to today. And that is actually helping you to prepare to go through these waves of energy starting September more easily. Go with the flow, staying on top of the wave with your surfboard. Franco sent me a cute sticker today. He found the best surfboard picture. I've been sending him surfboards in the wintertime gear, but he sent me one with the Beach Boy dog holding up a surfboard. I said, okay, Franco, you got me there. So this energy paper, I know Lily's been wearing at night, and I put it in my water, my new water I got, spring water, reverse osmosis, and I've been wearing it, seeing visions and stuff like that. So that's a really good tool you guys can use. Then also, with Crystal, was going to be a guest on our show today, there's a gal I ran into, she's making organite. And I know Lily told me now just this morning, not by accident, she just recently made some organite, and that has to do with, I think, the precious stones and crystals and all that. So let's just talk about organite really quick. We're going into the wave stuff, but I have a meditation for us. It's beautiful. It's for you and for everybody around you. You can be an instrument in this now that we've expanded right now, even on this call, even more so far. So let me just unmute the room and see if that gal is here that makes the organite. Hold on. Okay, are you there, honey, that I stumbled on you last night on Facebook that's making that organite? If you could *6 to unmute and come in, and we'll talk a little bit about that. Just *6. Otherwise, Lily, why don't you, I know you know some about that. You want to start? Everybody takes a minute to unmute. Lily?
Okay, you there?
There you go.
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead and start.
Basically what it is it neutralizes low-level frequencies that are negative. And there's ones that are called like tower busters. They call them TBs. They're typically made out of a cupcake mold, and there's different metals in them. And you put them out near a cell phone tower, and it neutralizes the negative energy waves that affect us. And they'll also help reduce like the effects of a smart meter, the negative effects of computers, cell phones, cell towers. It just neutralizes it. Orgone, what orgone is basically we are orgone because we're living. You know, we're a living, and we're organic. And what the orgonite does is it neutralizes the, you know, like the not good frequency that affects our life force. You know, the etheric, basically it's like the etheric energy, which is your life force, your chi.
So it's kind of like orgone is kind of a tool, kind of like even crystals or anything, even us, we're a tool that can absorb energies and generate them and then spew them out to be less dense energies, increasing vibration.
Right, because there's positive orgone, which is the etheric energy, and then there's a negative one, which is deadly orgone, which is the negative etheric energy.
Wow.
And he actually, there's Dr. Reich. Dr. Reich has a lot to do with it. And in this one article I just pulled up, it says Reich's work was continued in earnest in the 1960s by more open-minded Russian scientists such as Dr. Nikolai Kosarev, the one that David Wilcock was talking about.
Synchronicities abound, and you just pulled this up. I love these diamond calls because it all weaves together. Thank you.
Yes, and it says he scientifically proves that such unseen energies indeed exist all around us, and Reich's inspired work led us to unfortunate development of the Soviet military and utilized principles of torsion fields. Kosarev's work confirms both Reich's research and our empirical experiences with orgonite was classified until the fall of the Soviet Union in 1991.
Amazing. Oh, my God. Amazing. Oh, my God, Lily. You just pulled that up? Oh, my God. Wow.
But if you pull up, there is a website, this website that I'm looking at right now. It's www.orgonite.info / what is orgonite, and it shows you a little picture, and it's really interesting. You want to research it.
Thank you for that. Thank you so much. So is that gal there, or does anybody else have any comments or questions thus far? And then we're going to go into a little bit of current events with 9/11, and then we're going to go into a meditation for all of us that's short. And it was amazing. This just happened Wednesday. Amazing, amazing. And we, on that show, got very, very encouraged that it's on. It's on. We're moving. We're moving fast and furious. Well, not furious. Fast in love towards our new world and our new body, so to speak. Our DNA is changing, has been changing for 26 years, according to Franco.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. I did have something I wanted to ask and say when they're talking about all this energy and the stuff that's coming in.
Mm-hmm.
I have been experiencing stuff, and it's to the point that I told my husband this morning that I was going to try to find something with frequency meters or something because it's affecting my body. But about a month ago, I had to go to the dentist, and my blood pressure's been running really high, and I woke up that morning, and I felt very clear. I felt like everything was like, I didn't feel this tension, this like that you're in a ringer effect.
Wow.
And I feel that all the time. And I could tell. And I went that day, and they ran my blood pressure, and it was like, wow, it was 134 over 53, and 132 over 53. And it had been like 198 over 100. And so I could tell that whole day. And
amazing.
the next day I woke up and I could feel it was back. It was almost like I felt like somebody turned the switch off on, like you've got a
yes.
like something on you, the frequency or the electricity, and they turned it off for a day. And so in the last week, what I've been noticing, my whole inside of my body is sore. I feel like somebody has been beating my muscles and beating me to a pulp all night long. My neck, my arms, my muscles, everywhere I ache. And I just feel like the energy is so thick that I'd like to just somehow get away, and I can't get away from it. But it was very interesting to listen to him talk about this, that somehow I have to figure out how to put myself somewhere in a neutral zone with this, because something's affecting me a lot.
Oh, my God. Your comment brought up a lot. Wow. Let me let you in what I know about that, and Lily and anybody else. Most of us probably have been under a program for a long time. I'll put it like that, a program. They have the matrix, the contrasted ones. They have like satellites, our electricity in our walls, smart meters, TVs, computer whatever is our cell phones. They have programs. They turn on that technology and mess us up like you just described when we are waking up. But there's no fear in that. So this is how they've done this for lots of years.
But it's starting to affect me physically now a lot. I'm trying to find a doctor that can deal with this energy, or that I can find that I can frequency to get my body back on a normal frequency, because I'm feeling it to the point it's just really intensifying.
And I'm going to bring some solutions, and other people can bring some too, because there's many tools.
Thank you.
So right now, let me encourage you, we're at a point where they can't do this to us anymore. Just like, for example, you're waking up to it. My God, you just described, you could feel it. You could literally detect it. And, And so even with your blood pressure, oh, my God, I didn't know it went that deep. It affects blood pressures. Wow. So, and it confuses us, and there's no fear in it. We're learning from it. But
I think that people aren't even, it's affecting so many people's blood pressures that are in this. I am hearing it from so many people. My son, now since he's been out of Iraq, he came home with blood pressure issues from Iraq in 91 at 20 years old, and has been on blood pressure medicine ever since, but his was even way higher. And then another military guy went to the dentist, and they took his, and his blood pressure's never been high, and his was crazy high. And it's just, I'm just hearing about it more and more, crazy blood pressures. And isn't it interesting that all they have on TV is AFib, and I'm trying to I'm having AFib, and I mean, it's just, and that's on TV, and now I'm even getting AFib ads in my Facebook, and all AFib causes strokes. Well, heck, with this blood pressure like everybody's showing that they're having, whatever they've got going on, they're turning the heat up on it, and they're notifying us in, like they do. They notify us with everything, what they're doing. They're putting it on TV, medications, go to your doctor.
Yeah, the fear energy is on. It's on. They're turning up because they can't prop it up anymore. And with the sun, the CMEs, and the wave of energy coming in, but there are solutions. And this whole call is for you, honey, and for all of us. So you can say no to the system, and then here's some tools: the 528 hertz love frequency I've been playing. You can find it on YouTube. Just put in 528 HTZ healing frequency sound.
And I should play it more. I do have it on my computer. I need to do that. Will that help if I do that more, do you think?
Yeah, and then you have the energy paper that you can use and put on you. Listen to that 40-minute audio. I
don't know about that energy paper. I heard you just talk. Where is that from?
That's on the blog, on the Diamonds blog.
Okay, it's on your blog. Okay.
And I gave the specific date. I just erased it. But if you go back on the call, you'll hear the date that is on the blog. Or you can call me. There, you can also say 528 out loud. When you're feeling that feeling, you just described it's coming, just start saying 528 out loud, 528, or inside yourself. And that will bring that frequency around you and in you.
Okay.
There's the law of one I talked about earlier, and we prayed that about any dense energies coming around you. You pray the law of one, welcome it to you, and say the law of one. And it'll dissipate into the energy that you need, and not that. There's the copper scrubbies you can go buy at Walmart or Target or the dollar store. They're chore boys, like you scrub your pots and pans with. Make sure they're all copper. It's in a ball, and you just unwrap it like a stocking cap. You can put it on you, or you can put it on your smart meter outside, because copper is taking those energies that are confusing us, I'll just say, and decreasing our vibrations, is taking that energy and literally using it and turning it for good energy for us. Okay. And there's things you can do. You can turn your cell phone off at night. You completely unplug your computer router, your cable routers at night. I do that. And you'll see how that will really help. And the most important of all is just know and have confidence. You tell it no, no, and love it. The prayer one. So that is a really good comment and question. Wow, thank you for sharing that with us. Anything else, hon?
No, I just want all the answers to make it better. That's what I want. I want to feel normal. I want to feel kind of normal again.
Absolutely. Oh, what an awesome testimony. I'm a nurse, so for your blood pressure to change that drastically, how many more is under that program? But you know what? Those programs, when we come to know it and understand it, here comes the wisdom. We can do the action to it. And that's where you're at, and a lot of people are. And we're preparing for these big energy waves that we'll hear about them here coming up. Wow, that's awesome. Excellent. Thank you for sharing. What's your name?
Lola.
Oh, Lola. Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Lily, did you have any input?
No, I think explore. If it was me experiencing that, I would turn to some meditation, some essential oils, because essential oils will affect your frequency. The essential oils carry frequency. There's also like Bach flower remedies.
Because I do have a ton of them right here on my desk, and I even take them,
Yeah, you'd have to look them up because they all carry a frequency which the body receives it nicely. But you would have to probably Google it. I don't have a sheet in front of me to look it up.
Got that. Okay.
But I would look at the ones you currently have and Google them and see what they're for, specifically how it relates to your blood pressure. Because you probably have the answer right there.
Yeah, and ask yourself those questions out loud. Okay. What can I do? What can I do to help these dense frequencies coming and invading me? What can I do? And you're asking the higher self. You're asking your ancestors, your guides and everything, angels, whatever. Just ask them out loud.
Apparently I already did that, because look at all the answers you guys gave me just from this morning to now.
Oh, my God. Right.
Here's another thing that you might be able to do is say no. Say, okay, body, I'm an antenna, and I'm receiving what's being put out. Body, how can you allow me to experience this without causing any negative effects, so that I'm aware, but it's not causing any negativity toward my living, my lifestyle, or concern for my health.
Okay.
Body, what would it take for you to support me?
Okay, we'll do that. Work on that too.
Because think about it, what a wonderful thing! Wow.
Yeah.
How in
I'll tell you what. I don't feel like that today. I seriously feel like somebody used me for a punching bag all night, and my eyes, I feel like somebody has tried to pull them out of my head today. That's the first time I've ever noticed my eyes just feeling like they just, like when you've looked at the computer too long for a long time. They felt like that when I woke up this morning. They just feel all day. My eyes even hurt.
Since you've had this such intense, look at it this way, since you had this such intense experience, you're now noticing it very adamantly, and you brought it to the call, and look what happened. Isn't it awesome?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, now we're going to go into... is there anybody else? Star 6. Okay, now we're going to go into a meditation, but before that there's going to be a little bit of news of what's going on in the world regarding 9/11. It's good news. And then she'll talk about crystals, and we're going to do a meditation where we're literally going to engage. So get in a comfortable spot, you guys, and we'll engage for ourselves and for all of our family, our cities, our nation. She says within a 50-mile radius and where you're living now. But when I did it, I imagined every place I ever lived in, every state I ever lived in, and I ignited the crystals there. So remember, we're limitless beings. You can do it beyond the 50-mile radius. So hold on here. Here we go.
It fascinates me that the dragon is being brought up. Carol was born in the year of the dragon, and there's 3 sites where they're kind of Chinese astrology sites. Like if you Google Chinese astrology, you can find them. And you just type in your birth date, and you'll get what's called the 4 pillars. And the first pillar will be how you present yourself. The second pillar will be who you've been in the past. The third pillar will be how you relate to others. And the fourth pillar will be what you're becoming. And for me, when I put that in there, I got the earth, the yin, earth, ox is how I'm presenting myself. Yin being female and earth, ox. And then my second pillar is who I've been. And for me, for my birthday, it was yang, fire, tiger. And then my third pillar is how I relate to people. And it was earth, yang, earth, tiger. And then what I'm becoming is the yang, fire, dragon. So what Carol is what I'm becoming. And I'm just beginning to remember and study the whole Chinese astrology thing. But they have like the year of the rat, the year of the dog, the year, of these different, like I'm the year of the Earth Ox, Yin Earth Ox. It's 60 in all combinations because they have the different elements. But I've been thinking about that very deeply, and I've been trying to synthesize it with the Mayan thing, where you type in your birth date. Go to MayanCross.com. It's all free. MayanCross.com. Just type in your birth date, and it will tell you where you've come from, what you're doing, who you are, what you've got to do, and then who you're becoming. And I've gotten that for me too. And in my Mayan cross, I come from the 10 magical powers that I want to talk about tonight. What I'm creating is a new reality. Who I am is the life force, the breath. What I've got to do is use wisdom, which is a long and painful process. In my case, is the earth thought. And then what I'm becoming is loyalty and authority. And, I really recommend y'all do that. It's on the Internet. Go to MayanCross.com. There's nobody asking you for money. And then the other one, I forget the name of the site I went to, but just type in Chinese astrology, and then all these different choices come up, and just pick the one you feel drawn to, but just type in your birth date, and you can get the 4 pillars. But these are very ancient sciences, and they're helpful. And once you get your little free reading, you can ask. You can go into meditation, just relax, get somewhere where no one's going to interrupt you at all. And if it's after sundown, keep the lights low. And just go into a meditation and just say, I went to this internet site today, and in my case, what I said is, okay, I'm becoming the Yang Fire Dragon. What does that mean? What does it mean that I relate to people as the Yang Earth Tiger? What does it mean that in the past I've been the Yang Fire Tiger? What does it mean that I present myself as the Yin Earth Ox? And I'll tell you what, I've been asking myself those questions for years. And I keep getting more and more layers of what they mean. And I'm beginning to understand why it's a good thing to go into youth and immortality and not die after 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 years, and definitely not age. Retain the freshness of youth. I'm beginning to understand that life on Earth, whether it's this Earth and this solar system or some other Earth somewhere else, but in the physical reality, is really the ultimate. And when people leave, they come back. Now, why do you suppose they would do that? They come back. And I think it was a way of coping before. You come down here, you go through as much pain as you can possibly go through, and death is a welcome release. But then when you get to the other side, think of a pendulum swinging. You get to the other side, you merge with the divine light, you see the original divine blueprints of creation, you realize what the physical world is supposed to be on earth as it is in heaven. And you come back in here determined, like Muhammad Ali. I mean, you're just determined. Like Nicolas Cage, you're determined when you come back in that you're going to bring in the original divine blueprints of creation, which is heaven on earth. And you come in as an innocent infant, helpless. Can't even feed yourself. Can't even clean your own poops. And from there you evolve through childhood, through adolescence, through puberty and adulthood. And what I learned a long, long time ago was that contrary to what we've been taught, and remember we've been taught what they decided we'd be taught, but contrary to what they decided we'd be taught, I learned that the human brain becomes denser with time. In other words, the human brain continues to evolve unless it's, malnourished or poisoned, like with lead poisoning or whatever. And I also learned that there's people on the planet who absolutely and categorically do not want you to know who they are. I assure you. And if you were to see them, they would make sure you didn't notice them at all because they don't want to be noticed. But there are people on this planet who are older than Methuselah in the Bible. Methuselah in the Bible lived 800 years. And in that little 1%, that little subset of humanity, at least in China, from what I've heard, they don't even respect you until you're 500 years old. Okay? They don't even consider you an adult until you're 60. And back in the day when Michael was alive and I was in that whole huge group, psychologists, because, they had to renew their licenses, so we had to take these week-long vacations where we merged with psychologists from all over. We learned about the most amazing abilities of the brain. It was way different from what we were being told in mainstream media. When these combat veterans unloaded the truth of the truth in therapy, there were so many miracles that happened to protect the guys who had faith, that if Michael and I had tried with every ounce of strength in our being to be normal people and just climb the social scale and get bigger and better houses, there's no way we could do it. Because the stories that we heard from the men who were in Vietnam and survived to tell the tale, it was a continuation of the Bible. It was a continuation of the miracles of the Messiah. And, I am humbled by the bravery and the courage of people. And these people that are showing up in New York tomorrow, they had a billboard in Times Square, 45 feet high. Now your ceiling, wherever you're sitting, is probably 8 feet high. So just divide 8 into 45 feet. That's like a 5 or 6 story building. Think how high a 5 or 6 story building is. And they have a billboard that high in Times Square starting tomorrow, the anniversary of 9/11. And guess what's going to be on it? Does anybody on this call know? Would you like to share? If not, I can tell you. It's going to be actual video footage of Building 7 falling on 9/11. And they're having musical events, and they're having gatherings tomorrow in New York. And earlier this week, on a major media thing, I forget which one it was, for about 50 minutes, it's almost an hour, the head guy of the 2,200 architects for 911 Truth was interviewed and gave the evidence. Okay, Marianne or Nancy Grace or Elizabeth or any of you guys, I'm just going to listen now. Y'all share.
Well, I'll think first. Look again through everything. Okay, I've opened up the call, so anyone have a comment, just come on in.
My guess was 9/11 was an inside job for the poster, but I was close. And that show was on C-SPAN. That him representing a group of thousands of architects talked about the truth of 9/11 on C-SPAN, mainstream media. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Bye. Mm-hmm. Yep, I saw that. Boy, we can't go back, and we won't go back. And we're just walking forward. And, again, keep using the law of one. The door is opening. So, anyways, it's exciting. A lot of newness.
So, anyways, back to you, Cynthia, or Nancy, or anyone else. I do have one more comment, though, actually. It was when Cynthia was saying about the Vietnam vet, and when they were talking to her, she stated it was the continualization of the Bible and of the Messiah. And, boy, when you said that, I just got so much chills. And there was some flashing going on of things happening in the rice field or something, but I was like, wow. So anyways,
I have one more thing I forgot. Today, there was a bunch of sun activity, a big coronal mass ejection off of the sun today and a couple of days ago, and I'm sure more to come. That goes with all of this 9/11 stuff we just heard, and the big energy push coming on September 21st. So we can't go back. You're right, Marianne. I'm excited.
Right, I saw that. It was like a light coming down and then two sparks to the left and then a whole bunch of sparks to the right. It was two lines coming out from the left.
And plus they saw ships coming out of there, too, at the same time. So you see all this multidimensional world changes we've been watching and looking for. It used to be separate things, but now you see they're all coming together as a tapestry. I propose everything's going to happen at once. Even, the UFO disclosure November 5th. Oh, my goodness. We'll be overjoyed. It'll be an adjustment.
Well, you actually said that there was a video of ships coming out, because all I saw was that picture, and that's what I got out of it. Yeah. I didn't see any ships coming.
Yeah. I'm developing a blog for it. I'm developing the blog for it. I'll be putting that out soon. I think the ships were the last week's ejections, and I'm sure maybe somebody will bring up some for today's ejections.
Wow.
I'm sorry, can you please repeat what were the ships and what does it have to do with the sun? The ejections in the sun?
Go ahead, Elizabeth.
Yes, coronal mass ejections in the sun. Ramping up again, which is good. Okay, so CMMs, but they are really ships? They're ships in the CMMs, is that it? And they showed ships coming out on another part of the sun right after the coronal mass ejections, one of the videos I saw. Wow. And how can I see that? One video is one ship and the other video is a fleet of ships. So where do I go to see something like that, or where can anybody go? You could go to YouTube and just type in coronal mass ejections of the sun for September 2014, or I'm making a blog of it now. That's the Diamonds with an S Forever 31.blogspot.com. Can you repeat that? The blog. Diamonds. Your blog. Diamonds with an S. Okay. Forever. Yes, and the number 31 blog, B-L-O-G, spot, S-P-O-T, blogspot.com, .blogspot.com. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Wow. Oh, my gosh. Yes. Oh, I just get so much chills. I mean, it's just, we're walking through that door, and the door's wide open, and there's just a whole new world. And we're here. We're here for it. Oh my God. Anyway, Cynthia, back to you. Oh my goodness. Oh, thank you guys for sharing. You know what? Y'all are just tops. You're best. You're probably the guiding forces of your whole geographical area. Is kind of what I'm getting. And for those of you who are psychics, just see if you get a yes or a no on it. In fact, I'd like to take a vote. Well, maybe we shouldn't. I just feel like the people on this call it's like they're receptors of the highest order that determine the direction of your own geographical area. And I just would like to do a sort of a check-in list for those of you who may or may not be aware of these things. Those of you on this call, be sure you program all the crystals in your geographical area. In other words, wherever it is you live, for that whole area, there are rocks that have crystalline features. Quartz would be included. Granite has a lot of quartz in it. You can just Google things like granite, quartz, limestone, so forth. Whatever the rocks are in your area, those that have crystalline properties, be sure you program them. And let's do that right now. If you don't mind. If you don't feel good about it, just watch the rest of us do it. But if you feel okay about doing it, we're going to do a meditation right now where each and every one of us puts a program into whatever rock crystals are in your geographical area. I would say for at least 50 miles in all directions, which would mean a 100-mile radius. Whatever rocks, surface rocks and underground rocks, or whatever crystalline structures are in them, we're going to program them. So if you will, if you don't mind, make sure the lighting, if it's after sunset for you and your time zone, is dim. And the reason for that is that when you follow the natural cycles and rhythms of nature, and you keep the light dim after sunset, you produce melatonin. Google that one, friends. Anti-aging and necessary for the pineal gland. The pineal gland produces melatonin. So dim your lights. I don't care who you are. Dim your lights. Right now. I'm going to do a meditation. And relax. If you're not in a comfortable position, get in one. Even if you have to sit on the floor, get in a comfortable position so you can relax. We're about to do a meditation. Close your eyes. Breathe slowly and deeply. Breathe in to the count of 10. Hold to the count of 10. Breathe out to the count of 10. And hold to the count of 10. Another time. Breathe in to the count of 10. Fill your stomach. Breathe so deeply, just fill your stomach. Hold to the count of 10. Breathe out to the count of 10. Hold to the count of 10. Deeply filling your stomach. Breathe in to the count of 10. Hold. Breathe out. Hold. And breathe normally. We call in the living flame of divine love to be with us now. Imagine this. Clearly imagine the living flame of divine love being with us now. It will be dark opalescence. It will be all the colors of the rainbow, like a dark opal. And imagine the living flame of divine love being with us now for the next minute and a half, starting now. See it burning all through us, the living flame of divine love being with us now. Relax. Keep bringing your mind back to imagining, visualizing the living flame of divine love burning. It is a dark opalescent color. It's like a black fire shot through with all the colors of the rainbow. The black is the ability to change fate. And all the colors of the rainbow are all of the divine virtues. We call in universal consciousness to be with us now. Imagine universal consciousness. It is the omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient awareness being with us now. Imagine that here with us for a minute and a half, starting now. Keep your breathing normal. You might want to straighten your spine just a little bit. push your shoulders back and push your breast forward to open up your lung cavity. And remember your lifetimes as a yogi or yogini. When you learned about the body, the different postures. Now attune to your local geographical area. You might try feeling the light that's in your navel and shoot it down through your coccyx bone, through all the layers of whatever building you're in, to the center of the earth. Now. And as that is going on, send the light also upward, up your spine through the top of your head to the center of the universe. Just imagine it. Now send your energy field out about 50 miles in all directions. 50 miles in all directions. Just imagine this and feel it. Now, the 50 miles in all directions is up and down and lateral. In other words, you're going 50 miles into the earth, as well as 50 miles above the earth, and 50 miles horizontally in all directions. And connect with all the crystals. They'll be probably in the lower half of the circle, from the top of the earth down 50 miles. Connect with all the crystals and the rock formations underneath your physical body. And do the law of one with them. Program them with the law of one. Just do this in your imagination. Don't stress out on this thing. Just imagine it like a child. And feel those rocks underneath you. 50 miles down and 50 miles in all directions under the earth. And let's do it together. Just connect with them in your mind and heart and just say to them, look, crystals, we're all one being. When one of us is harmed in any way, physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, whether it's through neglect or whether it's through abuse, it goes out like ripples in a pond, and it affects everything. When one of us is healed, physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, on any level, it goes out like ripples in a pond, and all are blessed. Therefore, in the name of who we all are, because all of us are one with everything else, I ask that only the highest good of all concerned, physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, happen. And I give thanks that this is done, so be it. And I'm asking you, rocks and crystals, to broadcast this frequency, to take this as a zip file into your crystal matrices and emit it as a broadcast in the way that's the highest good of all concerned, with maximum efficiency, minimum effort, in a way that does not harm the children. And let's visualize this happening for a minute and a half, starting now. Now, in total silence, over the next minute and a half, we're all going to visualize the reality that we wish to be living in personally. We're going to visualize the physical body situation that each and every one of us is dealing with as eternally beautiful and useful and perfect. We're going to visualize our immediate relationships being the highest good of all concerned, and visualize our neighbors and communities being the highest good of all concerned. So for the next minute and a half, take this time to visualize in your imagination as if all things were equally possible. As if all things were equally possible. That if anything you wanted could manifest equally easily with anything else, what would you imagine happening that would make your heart sing for you, yourself, personally? Now, after we do this minute and a half, we're going to do the collective, but for the next minute and a half, imagine in your mind, in your imagination, in your heart, what would it look like if anything you wanted could happen starting now? And now change your imagination to the context, the larger context, and what the vision that you just created for yourself personally, for you in your physical body and your immediate relationships, the context in which that happens. In other words, the town, the city, the countryside, the continent, the oceans. What kind of world, if all things were equally possible, would you create for you and your loved ones to live in? And I'll give you a clue. I'm creating a world in which all entities and beings, animal and human and otherwise, are happy. They're happy. Chipmunks are happy. Beavers are happy. Trees are happy. Creeks and streams and springs and rivers are happy. Bears are happy. Dolphins are happy. Hummingbirds are happy. Mommies are happy. Daddies are happy. Kids are happy. Everything's happy. It's all working great. Everybody's glad to be alive, enjoying their life, and grateful for another day. Okay, that's just me, okay? So for the next minute and a half, create a clear visual image with sounds, smells, and sensations of the context in which you and your close relationships exist, starting now. Now add anything else. Don't look for any outside authority. Go deeper in your heart. And as a little child, an innocent child, remember what you long for in your heart and ask for that. Remember the Bible said, and the little child shall lead them.